Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I've done a lot of videos about spinner baits and chatter baits and moving baits like that potentially could require a trailer hook. And it is one of the most common questions I get every time I do a video from you guys out there that want to know whether or not I use trailer hooks with my spinner baits. And it's a great question, and it's one that I think a lot of people have a pretty good misconception about. I think the idea is just because you have more trailer hooks or more hooks on a bait makes it better. But I'm here to tell you guys that not only do I think trailer hooks can be a hindrance to you, I also think a lot of people don't use the trailer hook correctly, and it's limiting you guys from hooking up with more fish and potentially catching more fish. So what I want to do today is show you how I rig a trailer hook when I do use one so that it's properly going to allow you to hook more fish and not potentially create more headaches. So before I get into that, I do want to remind you guys that if you want to support the channel, go into my description for the video, click the link to therealshot.com, do your shopping there for tackle, outdoor gear, hunting gear. Use the discount code Stefan10. You'll save 10% off your order. At the same time, you'll help the channel out and you'll get a little better price on some of the tackle and outdoor gear that you guys need. Also, go to the lake breakdown section, the link that'll take you over to thefishthemoment.com, and you can see all the lake breakdowns that I've done for northern bodies of water as well as southern smallmouth fisheries. I've just recently had a bunch of California lakes that I completed, so some stuff out on the West Coast and a few more lakes over on the East Coast, as well as a bunch of lakes over on the upper Midwest. So check that out, guys. You get 40 waypoints as well as a general breakdown of the lake and things that you want to look for based on the season that you purchase. So check that out, fishthemoment.com. The link is also in my description. All right, guys, like I mentioned, I want to talk about trailer hooks. I've got here just an old spinnerbait that I grabbed with no skirt so that we can easily see the trailer hook. So what I want to do is talk about the idea of the trailer hook first. So in this case, I've got a new trailer hook. And what makes a trailer hook is the wide eye on it. So you can see that's a very big eye that allows you to easily slip that hook over your spinner bait or chatter bait or whatever bait you're trying to put a trailer hook on. And it allows you to get it over the barb of the hook very easily. If you were just to take a straight shank flipping hook, say, and try to slide that over the spinnerbait hook, you're not going to get it over the barb. So the only way you can get it there is either to open the eye of your trailer hook or to bend in the barb of the hook. In either case, those are not things that you want to do. So you can buy specific trailer hooks. These are Gamakatsu trailer hooks. This is a 2-aught size, which is the size that I like to go with if I'm going to use it on say, a spinnerbait. So there's a couple of things that I think people need to recognize when using a trailer hook. So there's a couple variations you can get. Like this trailer hook comes with this great little like heat shrink or shrink tubing type material over the top, so that when you take this and slide it down over the hook, which I'll do for you right here. So I'm sliding it down, pop it through, and I've got a trailer hook on there. It looks great. What I got to tell you guys is a lot of times a trailer hook, specifically this one right here, is going to lead to issues. The reason is it's on there so tight. I mean, it's not moving. Look, I can bend it and it takes some pretty good pressure to get that to move. You can see I'm moving the whole spinnerbait versus the actual trailer hook. Here's the problem with that. Generally when bass bite or fish bite, they need to swallow that bait fish head first. If they swallow it head first, what that means is it'll go down into their belly with no issues. If they tried to swallow a bluegill or a perch or something that's got some sort of dorsal fin on it and they tried to do it in reverse, those dorsal fins will get that fish clogged in their throat, which leads to potential death. That's why it's very important for them to eat other bait fish head first. Well, if you've got a spinnerbait like this, and they think it's a school of bait fish or one big bait fish, they're generally hitting the front of the bait because that's what they think is the head of the bait. The problem with that on a spinnerbait with a trailer is if that fish is coming up, say they're coming from the side and they're going to T-bone it, right? And I thought I used to have a fish in here I could use as an example, but if if they're coming from the side and they hit here and this trailer hook, which is stiffly connected to the hook, hits the outside of the mouth, now that bait is not going into the fish's mouth because the trailer hook is actually working as a hindrance. It's not allowing that bait to go in the fish's mouth. So I'm not saying all trailer hooks are not good. What I'm saying is a trailer hook like this, in this instance, is not ideal in my opinion. Another issue that can happen is the fish comes up from the bottom and hits it and they just rotate the whole bait. So when they hit it, that there's nothing holding that bait. If they come from behind, they hit that bait, it's slack line, the bait's going to move wherever the fish hits it. So in this case, if they hit the trailer hook, it's potential they're going to roll it like that. They're going to hit it from the side, they're going to roll it that way. And what they're going to end up with is this part in their mouth because the trailer hook has been moved. So I think you want to be very careful with how you rig your trailer hooks. Now, I'm not saying I don't go with trailer hooks. I'm saying in this case, I don't, as easy as these are, I think that's not acting the way you want it to be because it's potentially a hindrance. The other issue that you can run into with trailer hooks, and I'm sure if you use trailer hooks, you've seen this on a lot of instances. A lot of times that trailer hook will slide up like that. Well, that doesn't do you any good because if a fish comes and hits it, you have leverage from the hook that's preventing the fish from closing its mouth. I mean, I'm pushing on that hard. And when you go to set the hook, it's going to come back like that. So it's almost acting as a weed guard that's not allowing you to get that bait into the fish's mouth. So my recommendation is if you want to go with a weed guard or a trailer hook, sorry, what you want to do is actually remove that tubing. I think you're way better off with a free swinging trailer hook. So in this case, I showed you this one earlier. I was showing you how big the eye was. I'm just going to remove that plastic. See if I can slide it down over. So now I've got just the trailer hook. What I like to do in this case is I'll put the trailer hook on and I want it to be free swinging. Now I'm okay with it sliding down like that because when you're reeling it through the water will move that bait up like that. So then I take some of the tubing that I've talked about and I use in a lot of my other videos. You can use other things. I like the tubing because I know exactly how it works. It fits over the hook barbs perfectly and doesn't come back. It's got a pre-made middle in it and I can take it, slide it up over the hook. I just take like a 1/4 inch piece. My trailer hook cannot slide up over that. A lot of times what you can do too is you can put a second piece under it if you really want it riding high. Again, I don't feel like that's necessary because with a spinnerbait, the bait's moving and the water pressure itself is going to keep the hook moving like that freely behind it. But in this case, you can't get it off. You can use, like I said, other things, a little piece of plastic, you can puncture through it. Some people will use small little pieces of old, say, plastic worms or an old stick bait. The key here is the reason I think that's important is because when a fish comes to bite that bait, the hook is going to fold in, the hook's going to move. You're not going to have, if a fish comes and hits it from the side, that hook is just going to peel over into the fish's mouth because that fish is going to be able to suck it in. You don't have that rigidity of that shrink tubing that's on the hook that's going to allow the bait just to move. So I do think it's really important that you have a free swinging trailer hook if you choose to use one. I got to tell you guys though, because of the fact that the fish generally hit it farther up, I don't miss that many fish on a spinnerbait, and I don't feel like the trailer hook gives me that many additional hookups. I know a lot of people, when you do catch them on a trailer hook, you catch one, you're like, well, I got it on the trailer hook. A lot of times I feel like that's just where you ended up sticking them because that was the first part to actually penetrate the fish too. So they may have had the whole bait, but when you set the hook, if that trailer hook catches first, you're not driving this bait home. So when you actually land the fish, it looks like you got it on the trailer hook, but you would have hooked them on this one as well. You just weren't able to get that hook in before the trailer hook. So I think there's a little bit of a misconception there, but the only time I'll switch to a trailer hook is if I'm really having short strikes. If I'm having fish that I know are nipping at it, a lot of times you'll see them following to the boat and they're just nipping the bait. Generally, that's when I'll go with the trailer hook. But I don't just lead off with one because I think it's going to help with my hookups. I think a lot of times it hurts. At the same time, if I'm fishing around any sort of cover, that trailer hook will definitely interfere with the efficiency of how clean you get that bait through cover. So if you're fishing through grass, you'll have occasional casts that get weeds on the trailer hook. If you're fishing around wood, this bait is way less weedless around wood if you've got a trailer hook on it. And I don't care if it's sticking straight out or free swinging, it will lead to more hangups. I would rather be able to get my bait to exactly where I want it, work it through the cover the way I want it, and be efficiently working this bait to give me the chance at potentially coming in contact with more fish, increasing the number of bites. So because of that, I generally do not go with any sort of trailer hook. But I know a lot of people like doing it, and I just would recommend if you're going to do it, try rigging it in a manner so that it's free swinging versus sticking straight out with something with the shrink tubing. To me, it makes a really big difference, and I think it makes a lot of sense when you kind of think through the process and how a stiffer trailer hook really can be a limiting factor. So guys, I hope this was helpful. If it was, hit that like button, share it on your social media pages, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video.